Good day to everyone, first off, and thank you very, very much for sparing time off your schedule to be here with us at this webinar. We very much appreciate it, and we would like to make your time here actually worthwhile. The agenda today is going to be on how SAT and your organization can get prepared to face this current pandemic, and how you can prevent yourself and secure yourself at least against the cyber pandemic that's forced on us today. We have a separate Q&A segment during this webinar. So where most of our team members will also be connecting. So if you'll have any questions, we'll try to address them there. Okay, so moving on. As most of you would agree, I mean, the new reality of work has changed from what it used to be. Back then, we were all in our own offices. Everything was almost face-to-face meetings and late working, late nights, and a lot of troubleshootings and whatnot. But currently, it has changed to where we have been forced to work from home, right, due to the prevailing situations in the world right now. But we, of course, didn't expect something like this to be forced on us as quickly as it did. I mean, business continuity was obviously required, right, and it had to be maintained. We had to compromise on certain areas, like security, and we've left some of the systems actually vulnerable. So we'll talk about a few problems that SAT has identified and the relevant solutions we are bringing to the table to address them for you basically efficiently. Starting off, if you think about the pandemic itself, I mean, we know what we're facing right now. You will also agree that it's quite similar to what we face when we see an attack on a system as well, right? So there are ideally two types of attacks: the attacks on obviously humans, and of course the systems that we all work with. So what else is common is that these are always very new, right? So kind of like zero-day, threats in cyber terms. So there's no signature or vaccine of any sort for it, and of course, like COVID-19, it's been spreading drastically as well, right? So how are we going to even ensure protection like that? Because users from home are also connected to the internet, and they're all working from home. So how are you still going to actually protect them from a cyber pandemic to take place? Basically, we've seen quite a lot of reports and blogs and articles that keep coming up about the new kind of threats that's evolving right now. There is malwares that's been downloaded under the name of COVID. There are even like phishing emails that get triggered to most users saying it's a cure for COVID or that they found a vaccine for it, and like things that will obviously instigate you as a person to click on that link, right? So there are many attacks, and there's many ways, many threats that's coming into these end users who are working from home, plus the systems that you have put internet facing because you want to continue your business currently. Obviously, you got to be more smarter to tackle these newest cyber threats, and have to be more proactive on how we're going to do this also. One example I can easily give you is the zero trust in method. So you could either go to the level of scanning every single thing coming into environment, quite similar to how when we were accessing buildings few months back, right? They used to check our temperature before they allowed us in. So something quite similar to that. So there are new policies and there are new ways and new workarounds that you as an individual for your organization has to think up of or basically have to implement to ensure that day-to-day activity still continues. So we have identified some areas where it has been quite a concern to most customers, and we have also understood what sort of solutions we have that can actually cover those loopholes as well. So right now, what we can say is that the rise of cloud applications has been extensive anyway in Sri Lanka, but right now it has increased even more. So currently, most end users working from home will access these organizational data from some sort of device, right? And these data could be in your data centers or it could even be on cloud. So the most of these cloud applications grew because of certain reasons, right? So sometimes the end user obviously wanted more personal productivity, so then they started using tools like Evernote to Gmail to G Suite to whatever, right? At the same time, if you as an organization has moved to cloud that have SaaS applications or platforms or infrastructures on cloud to and at the same time there is collaboration that takes place within this area, right? So its usage of cloud services grew drastically during the past few months, and I believe this should also be true for you as well. So we basically have understood a few more problems that come into play when you start facilitating this whole work from home concept, right? So ideally, I mean, you guys would have also asked yourselves, how am I going to allow, you know, external users to come into my network to work? How am I going to make sure they use office provided laptops for work use only, right? That I don't want them doing something else. And how do I make sure that these endpoints at home are still secure from ransomware? I mean, they can be downloaded anything off the internet because they have access to internet freely now. So how am I going to secure these endpoints that are managed from my end but are at home? How are you going to do all this, right? So there are a few problems that we have also understood, and we just identified them and we put them out onto a certain slide. So starting off, work attended on unmanaged devices, of course. So the growth of end users having to use their personal unmanaged devices to access your corporate networks that grew. At the same time, they access these corporate networks or the internet through an untrusted or unprotected channel, right? Because they are using their own personal internet. There is no firewall between their laptop and their internet usage. There is no URL filtering. There is no monitoring. So these are all a big hassle because they're still using a managed device. Even if it's an unmanaged device, they may be downloading confidential data into your unmanaged device. That should still not be compromised. So you may want to think of that also. So they and at the same time managing the connections that's coming into your network, right? So how are you going to ensure that the correct users are the ones who are allowed inside? There could be a huge bottleneck right now at this point in time if every user wants VPN access. Maybe you will have to start deciding who from my organization should be provided VPN access. So there are many policies and many areas that you may have to consider. So that's also one problem. Then misusing of collaboration apps and resources on the cloud services through like personal on unmanaged devices, right? So clearly, I could accidentally send an email out because I'm trying to send it to say Shabir at abc.lk, but instead I send it to Shabir at satl.biz. Basically unintentional, right? So it could be even someone maliciously trying to download the content outside from your OneDrive platform to their laptop. So that's also a big hassle. And how are you going to manage this? And how are you going to basically set controls here? And another area is security teams lose visibility of the threat intel from the endpoints. And the policy updates or signature updates are lacking as well, right? So the end users' laptops will probably be more vulnerable to malware now that they're home. So how are you going to address that? Because technically, even though they are home, they're still using your corporate system to access corporate data. So this is also another problem. And also Yep. And also the DDoS attacks targeting internet-facing applications, right? So it could be whether the device, this particular web application is on premises or whether it's on your AWS or Azure cloud platform, but they are prone to attack now because they are, either facing the internet right now or you have to give access to certain users to work from home. So the amount of DDoS attacks that you could face is also growing drastically. So we have actually identified some of these. There obviously are more problems, and I'm sure you yourself might have few more pointers to give me here. But we're just going to map out to what sort of technologies we have that can actually address certain problems like this. But if you all do have any other problems, just do feel free to let us know, and we can obviously assist you there as well. So. The solution what we have is how we are planning to help you adapt to working from home. So we have a few use cases slides up ahead, which will address a few pain points in your organization that we map exactly to that also. But here we're just talking to you about certain areas that we understand that you may need to reconsider or that you're already considering right now. And also certain areas where SAT has tools that predominantly sit and can help you manage and secure this data. So we have hardware and software solutions that can assist with creating either a VPN tunnel for your users to connect internally to access corporate data. So that is if the systems are on premises, and also we can ensure multi-factor authentication is applied so that the exact person is logging in and not someone who found a lost password of an employee, right? So the real reason being why you would require something like this is you'll have an application server in house which you want to let your user who's working from home to access. So in that case, you definitely need a VPN connection there, right? If it's on the internet, if it's on the cloud, then there are different methods of controlling it. But in this point in we're talking about is if there are systems on-prem and you want to connect certain users from either managed or unmanaged devices, it does not matter. If they want to gain access to your data center, how are you going to address this? If you do not have a technology, we do, because we can help you basically configure these and get your end users to ensure they connect into your network securely. And at the same time, we can also assist with device security for both managed and unmanaged devices, and also to ensure threat intel is shared back to the console for admins to manage. Because even though the user is working from home, it doesn't mean that the organization shouldn't consider it as a system in its own network, right? Because it's still technically connecting to your internal network. So you need to ensure that you have all the threat intelligence on this device, whether the endpoint, the EDR technology, or the next gen AV, or the antivirus, whatever is running there, is up to date, has information about the latest threats, has behavior based analytics, has policies syncing. There's so many things that you may need to consider about the device, the endpoint devices, security from malware in itself. Plus, there is also the portion of visibility. So, example, how compliant it is it up to date with the latest patches, is it up to date with, let's say, whether it has any other vulnerabilities on of any application that's installed on the endpoint. So many areas you may want to consider. So we have the solutions to help you with that. If the pandemic slowly starts to subside and when we are supposed to go back to work, the chances of personal devices, right, getting lost is also a possibility. So with encryption and MDM installed, we can ensure that data doesn't get into wrong hands and that the lost device can also be tracked. So like making sure your laptop has full disk encryption. So even if you do lose your system, you can still ensure that the data that was in it is still secure. Encryption is another area you can think of, and maybe you all should focus in. And also, we can assist with DLP and CASB, which is basically DLP being data leakage prevention and CASB for cloud access security broker. So we have the tools that will sit as the middleman between anyone accessing your cloud service. So, I mean, this way we can ensure that the data remains within your cloud tenant and doesn't get shared accidentally or doesn't get downloaded onto a personal computer either. So, because unmanaged users are the ones accessing your cloud platform at this point in time. So, that confidential data still remains in your sanctioned cloud and not moving on to an unsanctioned cloud, or is not moving on to a personal device, is where we get involved to secure it. And also, finally, we assist with compliance. Really, all applications that you are using right now, any cloud platforms you're using right now, we can give you all a compliance report. So to let you all know, is there any shadow IT usage by your users, whether they are working. I mean, it doesn't matter whether they are working from home or at office. Like one example is if someone is converting a confidential Word document to PDF by uploading it onto some website, right? Or they're uploading it onto Zippy Share or Dropbox or Box.com just for the sake of sharing that document. But technically, it's confidential data. It could be accessed by anyone publicly. So checking if compliance of your cloud platform is proper, to see if your AWS S3 bucket is not completely open for anyone and everyone to access. So giving you all that compliance reporting and scanning is also another area we get involved in. And also just another area I would like to, so almost all the technologies we work with have this cloud knowledge base which feeds data to you. So example, if you know of a bad tenant that you should not be sharing any data to, or someone is going to compromise that intelligence is already available to you. So another example is a new ransomware attacks system in India, but before it attacks you, you may also have the update for it, or the patch for it, right? So that's basically how all our solutions work. So this intelligence is basically all the events and behaviors that we will learn from the past. So it's obviously a value add to your security posture, basically. Okay, so just a few use cases that we wanted to also mention in the process. is I'm sure these are all questions you might also be asking yourself, like how to connect your remote users to your corporate network, right? So first off, I mean, how we think you should address this is you will first have to create an internal policy to understand which information can be allowed to be accessed from outside, right? So if so, how are you going to even authenticate them? So I mean, we can get involved in setting policies to define them and have a secure connection from users to connect inside. So if the user has to get inside your network before accessing the data, then we will have a secure encrypted tunnel so that only that no attack in the middle will cause any loss of data. So basically, the whole concept I spoke of when it came to VPN and multi-factor authentication. So to ensure that the relevant users are connecting to your network securely, we have tools that can cover that. Then ensuring the same policy applies for users at home as they're at office, right? I mean, just because the user is at home, like I mentioned earlier, it doesn't mean that they can access malicious sites and download malware. Or, like I also mentioned, these phishing emails that come out saying that there is a cure for COVID-19, which obviously initiates him or her to click on the link and redirects this person to a malicious website. So to secure these users even at home, you could implement a cloud firewall so that any users at home goes through this particular firewall on the cloud. Again, like another platform that sits in the middle as a middleman. So this also ensures that URL filtering is also rules are also applied so that they are not downloading anything malicious. You can also make sure that they are accessing the internet safely so that their systems does not get compromised. And the real reason being they have confidential data of yours that you don't want being compromised. So you may want to ensure that the same policies that are implemented in your office is implemented even though they're at home. And also, yes, employees may obviously download or upload confidential data from your sanctioned apps to their personal devices, right? So, I mean, there are different set of policies we can apply for managed devices and a different set of policies for unmanaged devices. But I mean, briefly put, what we can do is we secure the corporate data that's on the cloud and that it can be accessed and collaboration is allowed, but as long as no one is trying to pull this confidential data out of your SaaS platform, right? So, example, if it's like O365, like I also mentioned, accidentally oversharing a link. That is something that very I mean, which fits this particular use case perfectly. So if anyone is even intentionally or accidentally sharing a link, now I'm trying to send this particular presentation to Shabir at satl.biz, but instead I email it to Shabir at abc.lk. And the first thing that's going to happen is it's going to automatically block me saying, listen, you're sending confidential data outside your tenant. If it's intentional, it's obviously popped up and obviously an alert and if evidence, all that information can be stored. But if it's unintentional, also is and it's coaching the end user that they're sending data out. So that's another part where we get involved. So if there's any applications, any data, confidential data on your applications and it's being downloaded to a managed or even an unmanaged device, we can still set some actions and controls for you. And threats have evolved drastically, and there's so many more zero-day attacks that are seen quite daily. So we can provide the tools that will actually give you security against these known malware and unknown malware. So whether it's fileless malware, whether it's script, whether you name it, whatever these malware types are, and these can also be managed for I mean, and this can also be implemented for unmanaged devices and managed devices. So we should be able to identify all these malwares that are taking place on any attacks that's taking place on the end user system, or even it could be a system that is present on your cloud platform. So an example is you have an application server on AWS and you still also want to ensure that it's not being attacked. So it could be whether you want to stop a DDoS attack coming in, or it could be you want to stop some malware being downloaded or someone putting malware into your S3 bucket. It could be so many things. So there's so many threats right out there right now, and we have the tools that can actually get involved to address these. So we have EDR technologies that sit on the endpoints and your servers, and at the same time, DDoS prevention tools also that will ensure that no attacks bring down your web application server. Because I mean, the reason you have an application on the cloud is because you want it to be obviously running continuously. So if someone's trying to compromise that system and bring it down, then the whole purpose of you moving to cloud is lost. So few more tools that we can assist you with to address these pain points. One more area I forgot to mention here is this labor defenses. Now that most of the users are working from home, so one example is if I find out that there is a malware called shabi.exe on computer A and computer B, C, and D is across the country, you may still want to set the same policies across A, B, and C computers to ensure that shabi.exe doesn't run. So even setting policies through the internet or even setting updates through the internet, so it should be a possibility by your existing your antivirus tool. So if it's something you cannot do, just do let us know. We'll be able to assist you there, or else we'll tell you all how best you all can approach an issue of that sort. Just few more use cases. So visibility of these managed devices, I mean, I mentioned it earlier while speaking of MDM and encryption. So, example, if a mobile device is lost, we can remotely wipe the device and ensure the corporate data that was on it remains encrypted. Or if the device is wiped, I mean, the information will not be recoverable. So there's multiple things we can do when it comes to encryption. So just do reach out to us. We would like to personally talk to you all and tell you all what else we can do from our tools than just presenting it to you like this. And also making sure the endpoint device coming into the corporate network is in an infected system. So, I mean, much like how we have quarantine centers and precaution measures, and how we deal with COVID-19, so is I mean, it's the same when it comes to the endpoint systems that are entering your network. So you may want to check. I mean, does it have the latest Windows patches? Does it have the latest antivirus patches? Is it compliant with my security policies? So it's only then it will be allowed into your network. So example, I come into my and I move into office after this whole thing is over, and I don't have any Windows patches on this. I don't have any antivirus patches on this. It's not been updated lately. I'll be put into a quarantine zone. So only after I have the relevant patches will I gain access to my network. So if not, so it's very, very similar to how we are handling most COVID cases right now. So quarantine them. If they are okay to go, you let them go. If not, they're obviously left inside until they are well to go out, right? Simply put. So that's basically how we get involved as well. So we have network access control tools that help us achieve this. So we can ensure that your security compliance is also met even though this user is coming from outside. So even if it's a VPN connection, if the user is connecting from outside, you can still start ensuring that the compliance policies are met before they gain access into your network. And finally, the shared responsibility model is something I believe you may already be aware of, but it's mentioned in every infrastructure, software, platform, you name it, any service providers, agreements mentions this. So where they highlight that the areas that you as a customer is responsible to protect or secure, right? So there are certain areas that they say that the SaaS provider or the infrastructure provider is liable for, and there's also the area where you as a customer should take care of. So we have a multiple set of tools that actually get involved in this area to actually cover the whole part of your responsibility as a customer. So there are enough and more DDoS tools and cloud firewalls, and there are so many other technologies that we can talk of. But that will make sure that the compliance on your cloud platform is as it should be, and at the same time, so you ensure that no attacks come into applications or development servers that sit on the cloud. I mean, we can also monitor and give you reports on if there are any loopholes in your cloud platform. So that's a plus. So there's so many things, so many ways we can assist you to ensure that this cloud platform you're utilizing is being utilized at its best security policies. Okay. And there's actually quite a few more use cases we can actually talk about, but we'll save that talk to have your chat with you personally over a call or maybe a WebEx at a separate time. So just do reach out to us, and we'll be able to tell you all more on this. And backup is another area I actually wanted to mention. Just please, I mean, let's not drag this any longer, but just do key in the chat area just how severe you think backup is at this point in time from a scale of 1 to 10. I mean, 1 being not so important and 10 being very important. So just do let us know how important you think backup is from 1 to 10. And based on your feedback, we can talk to you on some backup use cases also. And we have some backup tools also that can address some pain points. So just do reach out to us if you think that's an area of concern to you. So the solutions we have at this point in time that can cover all the areas we spoke of previously are these. So for remote access VPNs, we have Checkpoint, Forcepoint, and Barracuda that can get involved in assisting you get access into your environment securely, and cloud-based firewall to ensure that the same policies are matched everywhere. There are encryption on these relevant devices, whether it's to encrypt all the full disk or a specific file and folder, or whether you want to have mobile device management to ensure that a lost device is encrypted and lost or wiped remotely, so on and so forth. And don't expect you all to remember all of these product names or anything of that sort. Just I hope I addressed a few pain points and how we cover those. So just reach out to us and we should be able to map these out accordingly for you. The DLP, whether it's endpoint, network, or cloud, the tools we have in our basket can cover all these three areas. And when it comes to EDR, we have some technologies that are cloud-based. We have technologies that are on-prem. So based on your requirements, based on how you want to address, how do you want to implement this, where you want to install this, how quickly you want to install this. So based on all of these, we can assist you all choose which tool fits best. And when it comes to network access control, so to ensure that the users are quarantined before they are given access to your network, we have Scout. So do reach out to us. And finally, for your cloud platforms, whether or your on-prem applications that are internet facing, to make sure that there are no denial of service attacks coming in, and to ensure that your web applications don't go down, there are tools that we can help you all with too. I can share these slides with you all later on so you all know these product names, and you all can reach out to us based on that. And quickly to just talk on the added services that SAT is bringing to the table. So this is an initiative from the technical team. So just do speak to us if you want us to monitor and report all your basically the threats and compliance status on your current platform, right? So whether it's your O365, whether you're using Azure, AWS, just do reach out to us. We'll be able to give you some compliance or threat reports on these. And whether it's your endpoint devices or whether it's your mobile devices, just let us know. We'll be able to help you all do a POC on these devices. I mean, and you can also see how best they work on even if the user is at home. So whether it's implementing it, whether it's ensuring that they don't have malware, you can test all of these use cases out by just giving us a call. So just do reach out to us. And vulnerability assessment of the internet-facing web applications. So we spoke of cloud and on-prem. So whatever applications are facing the internet right now could be vulnerable. So if you all want us to assist you all with doing an assessment of it, you all know who to call. And of course, business continuity, you will need any application performance monitoring tools. So we have tools that can address these pain point as well. So these are basically the value-added services we bring as a tech team. But just do reach out to us for any POC or any solution that we have. And of course, the solutions we spoke of earlier, these are the values we are going to bring to you. So the business value we can ensure from the solutions we spoke of right now is we ensure business continuity with security. And also some of these products have flexible licensing, so that these are like 3-month licenses to 6-month licenses instead of you purchasing it for the whole year. So we can basically assist you all purchase these licenses for a few months, test it out, check if you want to use it right away, scale up, scale down, and you can not use it if you don't need it eventually. And you can also leverage SAT technical services to get these implemented remotely. I mean, our team has also been extensively working during this whole quarantine period through remote, and we've assisted quite a number of customers. So just do reach out to us if you all think you all have some problem, and if you all want more assistance, we can get our guys to reach out to you and make sure they address those. And the technical value we bring to the table is, so the offering covers all the areas, whether it's endpoint, cloud, or web. So even if the user is working from home or whether they are working back at office, it doesn't matter. our solution offering covers all these three frameworks. And we also provide the VPN and web security, as I mentioned earlier, complete visibility of all the users who are working from home, and integration with these cloud platforms are basically connections in the backend through API. So all of these take place very transparent. You don't feel it at all. Most of our cloud platform technologies we spoke of, the documentation for all of them are also freely available. So just do reach out to us, and we can tell you all what information we require from your cloud platform in order to it to integrate with ours. So based on that, maybe we can take the call on the next steps, and can assist you with protecting unmanaged and managed devices. So irrelevant of what the problems you have, we'll be able to address them as long as you have access to that system. That actually sums up what I have to say with my presentation. So finally, it's the Q&A. So if you all have any questions, I mean, if you all had any questions, if you all think you all want to know more use cases, if you all think there are other products that you all want us to talk about, just to you can message me on the chat, or you can unmute yourself and talk, I believe. We have members from our team as well. There is Rajita, Janaka, Chamara, and Tirina. These all five of us are actually on this call right now. So if you all have any questions, all five of us can get involved and help you all answer. If you all have anything to know about maybe Checkpoint or ForcePoint, Barracuda, whether it's McAfee, just let us know and we'll be able to assist you. All our contact details are on the slide right now. So you all can call us, you can email us. If you all want this presentation, if you all want us to address a separate use case, a separate problem, just do reach out to us, and we'll tell you all how best we can accommodate that. Okay, thank you very much then, everyone. Thank you very much for joining us at the session. Just do reach out to us now that you have our contact numbers, and based on your feedback, we will be having a few more sessions here on